Presentation title, it's 6D, Sustainable Design and the Power of the Data. And sustainability challenges starting from site selection to the end of cycle of the building. What is nice to have and what really creates value for the client and community, keeping data up to date from design to operational phase. I welcome Liudas Galdikas, BIM BDC manager at Live, new name of Baltic Engineers, responsible for digital and sustainable design, construction and asset management in existing and newly constructed buildings. More than 10 years of experience in designing and coordinating sustainable projects. And he is the member of Architects Association of Lithuania, Lithuania Green Building Council, lecturer at NT Academy. So it's a pleasure to have you here. We see you online and the ear is yours now. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Bob. And I would like to start to save all the time and say hello. Starting forward, I'm not sure if the screens are on screen, so can you confirm?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so let's go on. So my presentation is about sixth dimension, not the cosmos, but it's on Earth. So it's a sustainable design and what empowers us to reach such goals. So going forward, I'll try to elaborate. So to know what is 6D, we know to know what is before. So we all know 3D, but there's always a question, what is for 5D? So for you to grasp it easier, 4D is time dimension added to the 3D model, and 5D is money. So if we have 5 and 5D, we know what money at exact time we need. So that's a very short one. The sixth dimension that I'll be telling you examples and the best roadmaps we created is 6D, sixth dimension. So it's about sustainability and all what it has together. And the forward or going forward is a 7th dimension. It's more dimensions on the way, but 7th dimension is facility management, is the time when the client receives our data on his operational phase. So how he uses what we created or collected during the whole construction design process. So let's get started. What sustainable building design, I guess, there's no question asked, but I just added a 1-month-old screenshot from China. If we see the building, there are lots of buildings and the river is almost gone. So this is what our impact has done. And the buildings, our sector, what we are doing is responsible for 40% of CO2 green gas emissions worldwide. So we need to do it now. We've done it before, and we need to do it more in the future. So just to remember that not the biggest wolf is not the construction phase. The operation is a crucial. During operation we have 4 times more CO2 emissions compared to the construction of a building. And we have a goal. Europe has a goal for 2050 to be carbon neutral. So we need to do it faster. That's all we know. So that's why we're keeping and doing it. So just speaking on our behalf, for the moment, we have 9 projects who will be certified by environmental assessment methods, and a few big projects to come. And we are glad that these projects are big ones who may have a big impact, like national stadium of Lithuania. Going forward, when the world took action, just a short reminder, it was of course before, but the official one is British response, the environmental assessment method BREEAM, that we all know. It is a system consisted of requirements and criteria that buildings should meet in order to call them sustainable. And on the right side, like 8 years later, last century, this 1998, there was a lead system. So just to grasp what they did from that time, it's about 1 million buildings certified worldwide, and they can be called sustainable. Speaking what challenges these tasks brings. So as we all hear today, the key point is mindset. Mindset of a design team, mindset of a client, and mindset of a society, because she's the impact, gives us impact, or gives impact to a client to do it the sustainable way. As well, processes is the second topic that we all know is a crucial one. And the tools we all heard that different tools. Some tools give us edge, some tools give us lagging on the project, because taking new tools is not always easy. And all of the things that connects all of these are data or information that we exchange through processes using different tools and through the different people in different parts. So the key dilemma for the next 10 or 20 years is saying to have a bi-directional data flow, because we have data flowing now one way, but it's very hard to make it flow back and do not lose any on the way. So connected data is our previous or first challenge to call. So going into deep, it's about people. It's always about people, because we're living in the people world now, still now, as a people. And we need to change the mindset. So if you see the map on the right side, these points shows sustainable building concentration. And you see where it leans. So of course, it's starting in UK, it's more in UK. But as you see, there are some points in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. So comparing Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia has like even more sustainable buildings compared to Moscow and Moscow region. So it's not a good comparison, I guess, but to see what the small companies impact over size is the big ones who has had many possibilities to do so. The people and roles that we heard today about sustainability officers, we call them as sustainability consultants. And to grasp how many there are such a people, we can call that sustainability consultant companies for like, there are not exact comparison between systems, because one certifies companies, another certifies specialists. But just to grab is around BREEAM is more or less 2,000 companies that specializes in sustainable assessment. So they help owners to build ecological friendly or sustainably sustainable buildings worldwide. So and another role is a BIM manager or information manager, is the people who regulates how the data flows and grants or checks the quality of that. And these three people, like project manager, the original one, sustainability consultant, another one, and the manager, there's a team. Sometimes there's a few people, sometimes there's a three. So this is a core power of bringing this in motion. So this is in numbers, the same slides, just translated to the numbers. So just to have a little bit understanding how many sustainable design projects are around Europe and where they are located. And another key point is about process, because where there's a lot of people, we need to have a processes. And this is an example of our project done like in 2017. It seems green, but what we want to talk about is integrated project delivery. So these sustainable systems oblige us to use advanced project management methods. So this IPD is not a wish, it's a must. So in such projects, we started working with Agile methodology. We know that it is in a software and should be maybe left, because there are not so many successful cases using Agile in the construction industry or design. But what our lesson of this project was that we were spending like, we're trying on a Scrum method to put each task or micromanage each team member. So if we understand it's around project almost 20 teams, even more people, and we were scrolling a window, and we did not, in free scrolls, we did not reach the end of a task and responsible ones. So maybe it was a software issue, but we understood that it's too much. So that's the outcome of our experience of Agile in this correct project. The second project is well sustainable one. Konus Continental factory that we did a few and expanding each few years, it's a little bit more. It was in free economical zone. So if you see, it should grow the forest on the top frontier of a building. And the key, takeaway of this one, that this project started the corporate decision to later certify all the developments according to LEED. So they are committed not to the one project, they committed to the whole portfolio of the future projects to be sustainable. And sustainable not only in a word sense, but certified as well. So this Agile method, then this story did not end there. We tried to improve it. And when we learned where was our mistakes, maybe, we let the people to have it like a framework or roadmap. We created it like the project was developing, and this scheme on the right side called 12 steps was being created at the same time and changed and deleted and changed, and it's still not perfect, but yeah, there's nothing's perfect. So this scheme gives us a view and all the team the clarity of what exact or where we are at exact time. So if we done something and this is complete, so we're like in the step 3. If we would done that and that, it's step 10. And this is as well not only steps like boxes that we need to tick, it's a process. We go from start and go down. And if you want to go back somewhere to change something, we have quite a few steps to repeat in order to maintain the quality. So this is helping us. Honestly speaking, it's not a project micromanagement tool. It's more or less the guidance now, because we're still in development to maintaining it as a big picture. Going forward, another advanced methods were applied, such for example, like when we have like so many people working together, they cannot wait for one to end for another to start. We need to start working before the end. So it was introduced IC method, ICE, and Concurrent Engineering, which the main topic for us was that we cut the time of a decision taking like by 1/3 or even more, because we had a clear agenda, 2-day sessions. All people that needed to be on site who can make a decision. So from owner to exact project part managers. And the changes was reflected in 3D model. Exact time, because this picture is before Corona. Now we switch to the cloud meetings only. Another key topic is about the tools, and is the first one, LCA. According to my colleague from Netherlands, he says that we cannot call building sustainable if we did not complete life cycle assessment, because it shows our building footprint and his impact to the surrounding environment of ours. So this is particularly the current project in Konus. So what our impact was for example, we decrease the greenhouse gas emissions, but how it's done. So we take the building life cycle from cradle to the gate. We have this data from the databases. We extract the main components of a building like concrete, steel, aluminum, and etc., which are the biggest impactors of or creates the most CO2 during their production. And we saw that, for example, that materials as item is like 93% of embodied carbon emission. It reflects to the 93% of embodied carbon emissions. And transportation is only 3%, and end of life cycle is as well 3%. So what we saw, who is the bad guy? We saw that the steel and concrete slabs. While we're doing a lot of factories, you may understand these slabs are quite thick, because in the process there cannot be no vibrations by the cars going somewhere around or etc. Or people bumping something near. So these are key takeaways. So the problem how to solve it is recyclable content in these concrete or steel. And another topic is energy. It's now topic number one, I guess, in Europe and worldwide. So energy modeling of a building, we do it in a design. How it's done, it simulates real building's behavior by us designing it like a digital twin, adding it the exact specifications and how the people who will operate the building will work, how much time, and climate conditions as well, and taken into account. And what we got is we got operational CO2, this 80% of total CO2 emission of a building life cycle. Running cost of a building is as well simulated. And during that, at design stage, we can make a decisions to do something better. We are making targeted changes to the design in order to improve the final results. So that's the key takeaway. And you see the numbers on the bottom of the screen. So in this building in particular was the one, that green one from the top, we saw like a playground. It was a reduction of 63% CO2 emissions compared to the baseline building that we built according to local standard. Going forward, yes, I know I need to squeeze on time. So the last but not least topic is about this information, how it comes to the handler of the client, or how he later on manages. So first to start, we need to understand how many data there is. So on the left side, you see like one element consisted of multiple hangers. So it's in general combined hanger for MEP systems. So in our project, like if you can imagine 20,000 square meter factory, it's around 77,000 of them. So you can imagine if we do not combine them, how many long ones would need to connect equipment to the ceiling and etc. So it's not a joke, but this, say, value engineering in the design saves not only money, time, error, but we need to put a lot of job before in order to save the money and time later on during implementation. So to manage that data, we strict that the most key point is communication and issue solving. Issue solving based on 3D model is one key aspect to bringing all parties in the same plane. Because if we have a drawing, sometimes we do not see something that is not shown there. It's a water drawing, piping drawing. It's single information on a flat line, to say on the paper. And this is a three-dimensional view where we communicate, exchange, give us a comment, and improve the design itself by taking participation in it. So as well, it gives us analytics. So it's not a big data, let's say, but this data later on could be used, and we tracking the common mistakes and seeing through the portfolio level. So as you see here, we're tracking by the people, how they're improving, how many issues they do have through the projects, how during the time, how issues arise, if there are any sudden bumps, and what are these bumps, and why they suddenly came out of nowhere, for example. But of course, there is a reason for everything. And later on, communication between team, we understood that we cannot control everything in one single project file, let's call it like this. So we let people some leniency for some processes which are like team level to control it in their in-house, just to report the progress on the cloud system tool. And for some process that involves all the team, like sustainability. So we have separate projects for that, or separate part of the sub-project, because it involves multiple issues that are, how to say, important to everyone. And the key takeaway of this, that we put all communication data, answers, evidences, links in single location like you see here. And it's open to everyone. There's no visibility setting to turn someone to not see something. So this is totally open to the client, to everyone on the board. And a few slides, I'm getting to the time limit possibly. The quality. The quality we assure through the checking tools, and the people who are responsible for this is called BIM managers. You will get to know them, or already know some of them. These people check something that, for example, is not visible or traceable, the issues. Not only simple clashes, let's say, two pipes clashes, and okay, it's easy to see. But for example, misalignment between project parts. I can recall the example from Germany, one of the airports, that was building a staircases and 3 steps were left. And they were missing 3 steps to complete the steps. And we asked why. Say no 3D model, no comparison. We did it on the drawings, because in design there was a change, and that change was change of the height of each step, which was not reflected in construction, and that's why we have these big stairs now without 3 steps on the top. So this quality assurance method gives us ability to avoid that. And the later stage, this not the end of the story of the data, but another story or another life of the data in the client domain. So it's asset information model. It's called 7D, or facility management. So what it is the virtual container of the data, which was filled during design, updated and added in construction stage, and brought back to the client in an open data exchange format in particular system. So in the in simple terms, the client has all the data that could be read from the phone by scanning QR code. So this video will definitely show what it is. So basically on site, there is a QR code that opens the system, and all contractors and designers enter data will be there as well. 3D information, maintenance, predictive maintenance, required maintenance, checklist. So this is not only about gathering information, but as well managing the team members, the processes, as well as the help desk is standard, but I just need to mention the graphs, that it's a way to organize and easy find the right information. So to sum up, for today, it was a story of digital twin, sustainable digital twin, through design to operation. And the key factor is the information. And what's the most important, what we're all lacking is a time. So these procedures, processes that we apply, like sustainable design, it's not only about being good for environment, but these methods as well give us an edge of foreseeing something that, for example, in typical way, it would be forgotten. So I guess thank you for today. And my presentation is concluded. And just the final gap is that sustainability is today's reality, but as one architect once told me, that we need tomorrow, it's regenerability. We need to give it back, not just only sustain, but we all understand we need to start somewhere. So sustainability for today. Thank you for listening.
Many thanks to Liudas Galdikas. Don't go just yet, because maybe we're gonna have some questions. If you have one, just raise your hand. Yeah, we do have. The first question coming from the conference site.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Maybe you have an approximate data how much more expensive is to build a building which meets the minimum requirements versus the building certifiable for to BREEAM or LEED or whatever similar certification if it is more expensive? Thanks.
Thank you. I will try to explain in two ways. All these schemes has a different levels, yes? So for example, the higher the level, the cost rises. So according to the studies and what we saw, that typical, let's say BREEAM very good, yes? Because BREEAM has scales from pass, good, very good, and up. So very good now is called by some contractors as a standard because they delivering good quality homes. So for example, I believe, I don't remember the developer who said that he just did this certification later on just to see if he matches, if his quality matches. And he said, yes, we can do it without no extra cost. But I can tell you this not retail, or NT property was quite expensive. But honestly speaking, very good. It's now called the industry standard. So it's not about increase in cost. It's around to foresee what we save in the later stages of operational. Because if we make the building more efficient, yes, and target exact portions of that building, we save later. So yes, it costs, like for example, according to study, 1 to 3% more, but it's only initial cost. It's not calculated the return to the client when he operates the building. Maybe it's my answer. Yeah, should suffice.
More questions? Well, no more questions. It's well, Liudas, you know, it's a hard topic because everybody wants to live in sustainable house, but nobody knows how to build it. Well, I also heard the talks about, 3D buildings. So maybe that could also help to be more carbon neutral, to the environment, because we have a really good example I think in the Netherlands, we have printed bridge from steel and 3D printing. Probably it will be more faster, more cheaper, and less CO2. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. In Lithuania, there not even in the Netherlands. In Lithuania, there's a company who has the biggest 3D printer who could print panels for a sustainable house of 6-meter dimensions. So you can imagine they can do it right away, but just it's not as scalable as that. So they can print from organic materials, and yes, of course, it's the way. But I guess the short way for us is just to ask suppliers to include recyclable content in their products, because there are many who export Lithuanian companies to Norway. They already have it. There is nothing. There is just a big row to order it. So it's the concrete beams in Lithuania. They are produced already with recyclable content, but they are just exported to Norway. So we have it here. Just I guess we need to scale it up.
So it's not the question if, it's the question when. Liudas Galdikas, thank you so much for your presentation. Let's share a round of applause.